What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to week 276 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Got a special guest, Mr. Eric Williams, tonight, a friend of the show. You guys heard him before, and my personal mentor. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for making time for us tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, Cam.
We got a lot going on, man. The NFL is hot. The worst kept secret in NFL was just released a couple hours ago. So we're gonna get into that, and it's a good time for you to be in the show. Are you trying to catch the background? Are you in San Fran right now, or
no? I'm at home in San Diego.
Oh, okay. Well, now you're gonna have to get up the road because there's a press conference starting here pretty soon.
That's true.
Let's get the show started, man. Just like this.
Am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name
Cameron.
Cam Buford.
Hey, it's Peter Rosenberg. I'm hanging on my man Cameron Buford right here.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
This is a big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy. I want to get some of this guy.
Of course, I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Talk about that loyalty for a moment.
I'm staying there to try to make a change. Get back to the youth, get back to my community and show them that there is hope that you can make it out. Only thing is you just got to be dedicated. You got to keep your head down and stay on this course that you're heading towards.
Think about it like this. The promoter pays the fighter. The fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter. The fighter works
for the promoter. Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
So you are lifting weights currently?
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with him?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
On your team, is Paul number 2 option, or your number 3 option? On your team,
30 nights a year, he's my number one option. 30 nights. Can I finish right now? Do you want me to speak, or do you want to conduct the interview and answer for me? Which one?
What do you think about these upcoming?
Okay. Like I was saying before.
Well, every game's a new game, so each one's a different experience, different defense, different players, different game plan. So.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show Voice of the Fan
Oh my goodness!
continues to
I'm in
evolve,
You were adding some spice to it.
it is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
Real ones know what's going on, right?
Like you said, Pacific Northwest, so I think it's a big part of my game, and every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent myself.
You play this game and you don't turn not to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy
Yeah,
for the whole
yeah,
thing.
nobody.
Never mind.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
Look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
I'm not caught up to you guys yet. I do
Real, real surprised at that, Cam.
Hey, come here. It's okay.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's the big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sports. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do.
Yes. Week 276 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Like I said, got my man, Mr. Eric Williams, in the house. Thank you, sir. Thanks for making time, man. I know you're a busy man. You're traveling all up and down the country following these NFL teams. And so you're just the man we need to talk to tonight with this. You want to get into the playoff action, or you want to get into the coaches' changes? What would you prefer to jump into tonight?
Cam, you are the tour guide tonight, so we're going to let you take us in whatever direction you'd like to take us.
Well, let's start. We start every show, Eric, with their numbers game. We're going to get into the NFL topics. We're going to get into I'm going to get into some NBA conversation here a little later. We're going to talk about some boxing matches happening this weekend. And then we always play our This Week in History. And then I end the show with the quote each and every week. But I like to start off the quote with the number, or start off the show, sir, with a numbers game, with it being January 24, 2024, week 276.
Mhm.
Eric, when you think of the number 24, who comes to your mind first, or who wore that jersey number the best?
Junior is the first person that comes to mind, King Griffey Jr.
That makes sense.
Obviously, watching him up in Seattle, sweet swing, maybe the best looking swing in baseball. I think that's kind of the first person that comes to mind. Marshawn Lynch is another person that jumps to my mind. I think 24. 24 is a good number. A lot of good players have worn 24 over the years, but certainly those two stick out.
Those are two prominent champions, actually, to speak of. You left one guy out though, Dennis Johnson, probably the first guy to come to my mind.
Oh, DJ
to win 24, to wear 24. When you think of the number 76, Mr. Eric, who wore 76? Who wore that jersey number the best, or who the first person to come to your mind?
Again, because of my reporting, I'm always thinking about guys that I covered over the years. And so 76, I think of Russell Okung,
good one.
playing left tackle for that championship team back in the day.
I'll go before Russell Okung. What about Stephen Hutchinson?
Hutch is a good one. Yeah, no doubt.
76, Miriam Motley was a guy I obviously saw.
Mhm.
And then, you know, a guy, one of the coolest guys that I had a chance to talk to early in my reporting days, as I follow in your footsteps, is Roger Saffold. Roger Saffold is a really cool guy. He wore 76 for the Rams a few years back. I'm not sure where somebody picked him up last year. Did Buffalo pick him up late in the season last year or this past season?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's in the league anymore.
I think Buffalo picked him up midway through the season. He didn't start the season, but somebody picked him up. I want to say it's Buffalo. Picked him up midway through the season.
Yeah, definitely remember when he played for the Rams. He's a good player.
Yeah, and then he went to Titans after he left the Rams. Yeah, he was a really cool guy, like level-headed, real grounded guy. But Eric, it's been a outstanding weekend in the NFL. Obviously, we're getting down to the best weekend in the NFL. I think it's hard to say. Super Bowl is, you know, it is what it is. It's the last game of the year. But you can say these divisional games where you get Friday or Saturday and Sunday, you get two, you know, solid playoff games where we saw this weekend, or this championship weekend. Either one of these is it's a toss up between what is the best weekend in the NFL, because you're going to get the best of the best are playing, right? Do you have a particular favorite?
I like the divisional weekend because, like you said, you have more games. They're good matchups. They're usually tightly contested games that come down to the last couple minutes, and you're really seeing the best of the best going against each other. And so for me, it's the best watch in terms of, you know, either being at a game or watching on TV.
So let's start. I want to start since you were in the house, let's start with that game that you were at. Eric, tweet. Let the people know where they can find you at, Eric, on social media.
Yep. You can find me on Twitter at Eric_D_Williams. You can find me on Instagram at EDubNFL. And if you're on Threads, you can find me at Eric_D_Williams.
And your writing they can find you on
foxsports.com.
All right. Congratulations for that. So this weekend you happen to be watching Jordan Love, who he turned the season around, Eric. I had to start a segment in the show where I got it wrong, and it was called I Got It Wrong. Mainly it was because of what I didn't think CJ Stroud was going to be who he was at the beginning of the season.
A lot of people missed that.
8 weeks into the season, I had to start a segment of the show. I got it wrong. Yeah. But on the flip side of that,
you and Carolina got it wrong.
Wow. Yeah, they did. Except I didn't get the axe for getting it wrong.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, though, I predicted the Packers would make the playoffs, but I thought Jordan Love would be much better earlier in the season than he actually ended up being. He had, it took him a few weeks to kind of get his feet warm and kind of get some of the nerves out, I guess. And then midway through the season, as soon as I dropped that episode, And then he heard the episode apparently because he turned the season around and had a fantastic second half of the season. So I'm saying the Packers went into San Francisco. I didn't expect them to win the game. Not sure many expected them to win the game, but they put up a pretty good fight against San Francisco 49ers. How did you see that game? Was that it didn't, most games don't actually come down to the last play, but did that come back down to the last play, the inadvertent, the throwing across the body in the middle of the field and getting the interception? Was that the main factor in the game?
Well, I was surprised. I thought it would be competitive, but I thought that the 49ers would control the game, and it was actually the opposite. I mean, the Packers really controlled the game from the onset, and that surprised me. It surprised me. It surprised me how well the Packers were able to run the football with Aaron Jones, and then it surprised me how well they're able to protect Jordan Love, because I didn't feel like they got a lot of pressure on him, being the Niners. No sacks. They were able to pressure him late, and that's why he ended up throwing a couple picks. But I thought the Niners were exposed defensively, and that's obviously one of the strengths of their team. But maybe it's good for the Niners that they went through a game like that where they had to face some adversity and needed to come back at the end, because that was kind of the narrative, that Brock Purdy couldn't come through in clutch situations. Obviously, the final drive, he's able to lead them to a score, and then they're able to shut down Jordan Love and get the pick at the end. But it was definitely concerning to see San Francisco come out and play like that in their first postseason game. And now you wonder, against the Lions, who I think are a better team than the Packers, what the 49ers are going to look like, particularly if Debo's not able to play this weekend.
So you brought it up. Brock Purdy is everybody's wild card on the Niners. Now, I've been, for those of you who listen to the show, I've been a Brock Purdy supporter.
Oh, you're not a Brock Purdy hater?
No, absolutely not. I think
that surprises me.
The what? Are you kidding? Cleveland is a Brock Purdy hater.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I couldn't wait to get him this week when everybody wants to. Oh, what can he do when the pressure's on? What can he do when the late games, when the team is down? Can he bring the team back? Blah 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 blah. Brock Purdy has played serviceable football from the time he got under center.
Better than serviceable.
MVP caliber football this season. But yes, better than serviceable. I'm the haters have me clueless, because he's been better than serviceable, and there was a point where he was playing MVP caliber football this season. I thought. And so, what was your thoughts on Brock Purdy going in before this game, before that final drive?
Mm-hmm.
Were you a believer in Brock Purdy? Were you believing it was a coaching? He leaning on that good defense. He only can make something happen with Deebo Samuels in the game. That was another thing that I thought he dispelled that myth, because Deebo only played a few snaps, that he couldn't perform without Samuels. What was your thoughts on Brock Purdy going into the game, did that final drive surprise you at all?
Well, first of all, I think something we're not talking about enough is the fact that Brock Purdy came back from major elbow surgery in the offseason.
Great point.
And he hasn't missed a game. And it hasn't really affected his performance on the field. In fact, when you consider, that he spent most of his offseason rehabbing and not really getting ready to play his second season, it's very impressive the way he's played over the entirety of the year, and the fact that he's been durable enough to go out there and play when his number is called, and not only play, but again, play at a high level. So there's that. I think he is a perfect fit for what Kyle Shanahan wants to do in the offense, and he's a high-level executor of Shanahan's system. The ball goes where the ball is supposed to go. But not only that, the ball is on time and on target. I think that people don't give him enough credit for putting the ball where he needs to put it, because there's a lot of guys that can't do that. He kind of reminds me, if you want to use a basketball analogy, Steve Nash back in the day, playing with a bunch of guys that could fill the basket when he was with the Suns. You look at Steve Nash, and you're like, he doesn't look like Magic Johnson or any of the point guards we grew up watching, Isaiah Thomas, in terms of his athleticism. But as a distributor, he was legit. He was a high-level distributor of the basketball, and he put the ball in places where it made it easy for people to score. Purdy puts the ball in places that makes it easy for guys to make plays after the catch. That's the one thing that jumps out to me. And then I think one of the things that people don't give him credit for is he's actually a better athlete than maybe people are willing to give him credit for. He can move. He's not like a 4.5 40 guy. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he's quick and he's elusive inside the pocket. And on 3rd and 5, if you need for him to run for a first down, he will do that. And we saw that on the final drive of the game where they scored, where he bounced out and got 10, 15 yards and put them in position for McCaffrey to get in, I believe, on the next play. So, add all that together, along with the fact that he shows up every week. I just feel like if his name was Trevor Lawrence instead of Brock Purdy, we would be giving this guy a lot more flowers.
Trevor Lawrence, you brought up a sour name there. Trevor Lawrence is somebody we need to see a lot more from. Trevor Lawrence would be happy with the season that Brock Purdy had.
He would be more than happy with the numbers that Brock Purdy is putting up. But Trevor Lawrence is a number 1 overall pick, so we expect him to play like that, where we don't expect a 7th round pick to play like that. And I think Richard Sherman is kind of a kindred spirit of Purdy and has been defending him because Richard was in a similar situation as a 5th round pick who had to jump over people to get on the field.
The Mr. Irrelevant tag is hanging over him, so people still don't want to give him the respect that he's played for or that he's earned on the playing field. I believe that's you're exactly right. Mike Shanahan. I didn't know that Mike Shanahan was on 30 when down 5 going into the 4th quarter. I didn't realize. That's a
crazy stat, right?
Yeah, that's wild stat. So now Brock Purdy wins him a game. I mean, Shanahan has to love the kid. I like his moxie. I like his moxie. And you're right. You don't have to have all the flash and dash, but if you can get the job done, he gets the job done. That's why I like the kid. That's why what I seen in him. That's why I enjoyed him. So great win against the Green Bay Packers. I'm with you. It was a little tougher. Do you think the Packers' ability to run the ball on the 49ers has anything to do with that rest situation? They were coming in off of a big win over the Cowboys where they were running the ball effectively. They gained some confidence. They gained some comfort in the playoffs. Therefore, they came into that game kind of not the jitters were out. The playoff jitters, they dispelled the playoff jitters a week ago. So now they're playing with confidence. Now they know they deserve to be in the playoffs. Now they're playing with confidence, and it didn't really matter who was playing in front of them. They had confidence going into the game. Do you think that played into that game against the Niners?
No, teams that run the football effectively have been able to run the ball in the Niners. I mean, the Cardinals put 220 up on them. Cleveland ran the ball effectively against them. They've given up some big rushing performances over the duration of the season. And I think one of the reasons they do that is they're really built to rush the passer and not so much defend the run because of the kind of bodies they have up front defensively. Longer, leaner bodies, guys that are more twitchy athletes when you consider Bosa or Chase Young, or even inside Eric Armstead. He's more of a taller, rangier athlete. Hargrave is a big body inside, but he's more of a guy that wants to get upfield and not necessarily hold 2 gaps to allow your backers to get there. So, one person I think they missed that we haven't really talked about a lot is Hufanga. He was a guy that got to the line of scrimmage quick as a safety and was a pretty good tackler. And I think that's been one of their issues, has been missing tackles in space and getting guys on the ground. So it's an issue going against the Lions because the Lions are effective running the football.
You just gave a bunch of Lion fans some hope there.
I wouldn't be surprised the Lions win this game.
Well, let's talk before we get to your predictions. Let's talk about their win over the Buccaneers. Um, how do you feel about the Lions and Jared Goff? You covered Jared Goff when he played for the Rams.
Yep.
How do you feel? I believe Jared Goff was a good fit for the Lions. Um, a guy who was overlooked, a guy who was kind of kicked to the curb, if you will. Some guys with some chips on their shoulder, if you will,
Mhm.
like playing with Dan Campbell, who I mean, he's not going to tell you he's been overlooked, but he was overlooked before. He's had a head coaching job, uh, interim coach for the Dolphins. Was kind of overlooked, was laughed at when he actually got the job for the Lions, and he has a chip on his shoulder. Um, and he coaches. I mean, he's a great fit for that team where they're playing and they're trying to prove everybody wrong week in and week out. And they have a solid game.
Mhm.
I was kind of surprised that only thing I'm surprised about the Lions, what they did is swapped out the running backs last season. They got essentially cut the guys, and then brought in. They drafted a rookie, and then they brought in the journeyman running back that they have now.
Montgomery.
Brain fart. They drafted Gibbs, number 5. What's his name?
David Montgomery.
Yeah, Montgomery from the Bears. They got him from the Bears. I was surprised that they switched those guys out. Like DeAndre Swift, I believe, is a good running back.
Yeah.
One of Eagles' problems is they stopped giving DeAndre Swift the ball at the end of the season. I mean, they ran him well midway through the season, up into the halfway point, but they stopped giving him the ball for whatever reason. I was just surprised they did that, and then they're able to have the similar success. Was that a surprise to you at all? The Lions this season. I'm talking about being able to effectively run the ball, as you mentioned.
Yeah, a little bit, but I think with these rookie running backs, they're under control for 4 to 5 years in terms of the contract. So you kind of know what you're going to pay them. You don't have to worry about signing them long term because you can just go and draft another one. And Gibbs is he's a legit dude. You know,
Yeah.
he's not just a regular running back. I mean, he can do a lot. He can also catch the ball out of the backfield, so that gives you an added dimension to your offense, like McCaffrey for the Niners. And that's how they're built. You know, Dan Campbell wants to be balanced. He wants to run the football to protect Jared Goff and not have Jared Goff carry the offense. I think they've done a nice job of giving Jared Goff confidence, so he's playing to the best of his ability, and they're protecting Jared. That was one of the issues that I saw with McVay is he would put Jared in a lot of tough situations where the protection wasn't there and he had to get the ball out quick. And that wasn't Jared's strength. But if you ran play action and you ran 3-man routes and you protected him, you know, Jared was accurate with the football and has a good arm and he could slice and dice you a little bit. And so that's, to me, is going to be a thing to watch with the Lions and the Niners. Are the Niners going to be able to get pressure with 4, or are they going to have to blitz? And if they do blitz, will they be able to get to Jared and make him uncomfortable? Because we know with Jared, he can't really move. I mean, that's like one of his weaknesses is he can't get out of the pocket and escape. And so you got to make him uncomfortable.
Yeah, Jared, again, Jared's another guy, like as I mentioned, play with the chip on his shoulder. I like the confidence that how they built Jared up. And as you mentioned, if you protect him, if you keep the pocket clean, he can make some throws. The confidence was displayed on what was it, the third down. Excuse me, no. When they got the ball and to run out the clock, they could have run the ball kind of, 3 times and 3 and out. Instead, let him drop back and throw the ball.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown is borderline great. I really like that kid. He catches everything that comes in his vicinity. And he's great for Jared Goff because he can catch a bunch of balls. Yeah, exactly. So when you have a chance to run the ball out and instead you get a first down and the game's essentially over, and they let Jared Goff drop back and throw the ball, I was like, that shows an abundance of confidence. And you saw it went to when for that completion. Why did the Bucs go for 2? Down 14, they scored a touchdown. They could tie. They could kick the field goal, be down 7, and they go for 2. Why? I thought that was they threw the. I don't mind guys going forward on 4th down. I was with Staley when he was doing all these 4th down calls. But in that situation, you missed a 2-point conversion. I think that takes away momentum from your team in a critical game. Why did you understand why they went for 2? The analytics say this or that. Did you understand it from a football schematic point of view?
I don't understand it from an analytics point of view, other than that was the decision analytically, and it makes sense for them to do that. I guess if you don't get it, you can still go for 2 again the second time if you score a touchdown. If you do get it, then you're in a better position when you get the score the second time around. I agree with you. I don't like the fade ball in that situation. I think there's more plays you can get to that give you a better opportunity to get the 2-point conversion. And when you watch the Chiefs, I feel like they're very creative in those situations and do a better job of getting their playmakers open in those type of plays where you're compacted near the goal line and you're thinking of innovative ways to score. Fade ball is a low percentage play. So I'm okay with the call. I understand why you would do it, I guess. Analytically, I just didn't like the play call itself. I think you need to do something else in that situation.
Yeah, I didn't. I just think at that moment you're down 2 touchdowns. I think it was a little 8 or 9 minutes to go in the game. You take momentum away because now you're in the game. You scored a touchdown, you're in the game. You kick a field goal, you're down 7. You need a stop. And again, it wasn't 4 minutes to go in the game. You had a couple stops. You could have got a couple stops, or you had time to get a couple stops and still score. I just think you rob your team on the momentum because now we have to do this again. You have to come up and be creative again. It's like, why put yourself through that? I didn't think that was the right call at that moment. But the Bucs have already played. I mean, they were playing with house money. So I guess when you're playing with house money, all right, well, let's take a chance. What does it matter? So Eric, I'm surprised you're giving the Lions a chance in this game against the Niners this weekend. What did you kind of the clock struck 12 on the Texans against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. They went into halftime tied up, and then from then on, the Ravens just came and they ran the ball, ran right through the Texans the rest of that game. I think their defense, what I've liked about Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, the older brother. He's the older brother.
Yeah, I believe he is the older brother.
There's been no, regardless of who's been on the team, who's played on that team, like the personality of that team has not changed. Even with Lamar as the quarterback, the personality, they're still a running team. They still play great defense, and you're going to have to play tremendous football just to beat that team. Even at if they're 8-8 or they're 13-3, they're going to play good defense. You're going to have to play tremendous football to beat this team because they don't really traditionally do not beat themselves. And their defense, their defense is awesome right now. There's a bunch of no-name guys. This could be the no-name defense of this generation because they just have a bunch of guys who just come out there to play football and bash your head in. And if you can't stand it for 60 minutes, you're going to get beat. What was it, 35-10? How they came out and beat the Texans. Even Texans had a great season. The Texans was playing above their head. CJ Stroud is awesome. I didn't expect to see this in this season, so let me say that. CJ Stroud is awesome. You talked about Brock Purdy giving his receivers a chance to catch and run. CJ Stroud's ball placement throughout the season has just been exquisite. And boy, oh boy, the Texans got one. I don't scout players, but did you see that coming from him this season?
Well, I mean, let's talk about the Ravens first. I mean, there are a couple of guys that we know on their defense. You consider Clowney and Kyle Van Noy, and then obviously their two linebackers inside are the best in the business, with Queen being one of those guys. You're right. Like the Ravens have an identity, a way that they want to play that really hasn't changed, over the last 20 years, to be honest. Which is,
Right.
physical, beat you up on defense, run the football, be balanced on offense, and be good on special teams, and basically make the other team beat you. They're not going to make a lot of mistakes, and that's effective at the end of the season and in the postseason when you're playing in games where you're going to have some weather. I expected Stroud. Switching back to the Texans, I expected him to be good, but not this good. I know there was a lot of talk going to the pre-draft with the S2 cognition test and him not doing well, and being a little, I guess, in your feelings in terms of how he dealt with coaching. There was a lot of stuff out there, and I think that maybe affected people's decision making when you just watched him play, and all you have to do is go back and watch how he played in the national championship series. And that was kind of your answer. I mean, he sliced and diced teams. And so, he effectively made the transition from college to pro pretty seamlessly. Give credit to the Texans for surrounding him with good coaching and good players to help make that transition. I think they did a good job of, bringing in Bobby Slowick to be the offensive coordinator, giving him some pieces on offense, putting him in an offense where he could be effective. They basically did everything that the Panthers did not do for Bryce Young. And the results are the results.
Real quickly, can the Panthers turn that around, or is Bryce Young not an NFL quarterback?
I think Bryce Young is an NFL quarterback. I think he has to be in the right system. I think he has to, have somebody to give him confidence. I think it's interesting that, they're interviewing Dave Canales because Dave was around when Russell was with Seattle. He was the quarterback coach. And I think is a really smart X's and O's guy, having been around him. Dave Morgan is the GM. Dave Morgan was with Seattle for 8 years, obviously knows Dave Canales well. So if he ends up in that job, I think he's a person that can create an offense to fit Bryce Young's skill set and get the most out of him.
And is Frank Reich done coaching in the NFL?
No. Frank is a good coach. I've been around Frank, a lot when he was with the Chargers.
He's supposed to be a QB whisperer. He had his choices in Indianapolis.
Right.
This kind of think this was his third chance in Carolina.
Sure.
And it was just kind of a complete fall on your face. Like,
I don't think Frank has forgotten how to coach football. I think when you get these head coaching jobs, you have to remember everything else that you have to do as the head coach. You have to deal with the owner. You have to deal with other people in the building. I think it sounds like in Carolina, there were too many people trying to talk to Bryce. There wasn't one voice. When you consider everybody that was there, it was kind of an all-star coaching staff. Thomas Brown was there. He used to coach with the Rams. There was just a lot of guys, and maybe it was just too much. And so, but that's the job of the head coach, is to filter that down,
to arrange that. And so we don't have to talk too much about that. So clearly, going into this weekend, let's talk about the other AFC game we have, is the Chiefs and the Bills, which was a barn burner. We saw Sunday night, another wide right game for the Bills. Oh my goodness. The Bills I felt like the Bills, they were running the ball effective. They were running the ball effectively, more so better than most people might have anticipated in this game. I'm surprised they stopped running the ball. And I think the fake punt. I'm not mad at the fake punt, but it was just, or I'm not mad at the fourth down, going for it on fourth down. I'd much rather have that ball in Josh Allen's hands. If you're gonna go for it on fourth down, put it in his hands. Let this kid roll out and shrug off a couple tackles to get the 4 or 5 yards that they needed, rather than the fake punt with Mr. Heartthrob there.
Hamlin, wasn't it?
Yeah, Hamlin. You know, I don't know if that was a sentimental moment there for the coach or what that was about, but I thought it was a terrible play call to have him go for it on fourth down, and that
It ended up not hurting him though because Hardman fumbled through the end zone.
Well, yeah, but you can't count on Hardman fumbling. I mean,
they did get the ball back.
They did get the ball back. Diggs dropped. Oh my goodness! Your number one receiver gets both hands on the ball. I mean, we've seen better passes from Allen, but he did get both hands on the ball.
Yeah,
I don't know why he's trying to bucket catch it rather than catch it with the hand. That was a huge drop. Do you think going back to that Hardman call before you go, do you think they should change that rule? If he fumbles in the goal line and it goes out of the end zone, do you think that rule should be changed?
No, I don't think the rule should be changed. I mean, people know what the rule is, and they're taught you don't extend the ball in that situation unless it's fourth down. So you just have to be smart as a player and understand, hey, I'm getting smacked. Let me, tuck the ball and make sure I don't lose it. We can get in next play.
He had two hands on the ball.
No, he was extending it. He was
no,
about to
he
get
had
smacked.
2 hands on the ball. He had
he had spun and he was reaching out. Okay, you're a former running back. You don't hold the ball like that when you're about to get hit. You turn and protect yourself.
But he was trying to spin and make a move to get into the end zone.
Do you hear what you're saying?
Yeah.
He was trying to do too much.
Right.
Obviously, he was trying to do too much.
Exactly.
And he's not a running back. He's a receiver.
But give it to Pacheco. Pacheco.
Yes.
What did your boy Sherman say? Pacheco run like he didn't grow up with much. He didn't grow up. But give it to Pacheco. We don't have to get too creative. Okay. Chief, you guys have the talent. You don't have to get so creative. Give it to Pacheco in that moment there.
The other thing I'll say about playing in Buffalo, having covered games there, is the weather is a significant issue. The wind there is really hard to predict, and so when you saw that guy miss wide right, I mean, I felt really bad for the kicker. But I mean, it's a hard place to kick.
He's been kicking there all season. He's been kicking there.
It's a hard place to kick, and it's a hard place to judge which way to put the ball. And you saw what the kick did. I mean, the kick just took off on him. So, I mean, it is what it is. And that could have also affected Diggs on that long catch, trying to judge the ball, with the wind and the conditions. So, I know they're professional athletes and no excuses, but that is a tough place to play. It's not a dome.
Yeah, I agree. It is a tough place to play, but my man Bass has been a stud most of the season. He's been kicking there all year long. If the Chiefs kicked their kicker went wide right, I have more empathy for him because he hasn't been there. He's new. This guy's been kicking there all year long. I mean, it's a tricky place to play anyway. Diggs, I've been a Diggs fan. I've been riding with Diggs since Minnesota. There's no excuse for that. You got to come down with that. You're the number one receiver on that team.
He's getting paid a lot of money.
In a crunch time moment when they need to play, you're supposed to make it. There's all the complaining you've done for the last 2 years. You're supposed to make that. You're supposed to make that. Nonetheless, the Chiefs move on.
Can I give you my picks?
Yeah, I'm gonna get your picks.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you. I just was gonna sum it up. The Chiefs move on against the Bills, and I was gonna say, Mahomes, 6 straight AFC Championship games.
Yeah.
how impressive is this? Mahomes is. I never understood why Andy Reid had him on the bench. I think you may have heard me say this over the last 6 seasons, a time or two.
Mhm.
When I saw him play in that final preseason game when Andy Reid benched the starters, and this kid came in the ball, hucking the ball all over the field on the money. I don't understand how Andy Reid went to Alex Smith. I have no idea how he held him on the bench a full season. I have no idea. I kept saying week 5, week 6, even though what did they were like 8 they were like 12-1 at one point that season.
Yeah, they're playing well.
Look, Alex Smith was dinking and dunking. That kid was ready to throw the ball. That was great. He did a great job by just keeping his cool and keeping him on the bench for a full year, and then he could finally get in the game, and we see what he's done since. That's very impressive though. So we got the Chiefs and the Ravens. I'm going with the Ravens in this game. As much as I love Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I think the Ravens are going to be able to run the ball. I don't think they're going to allow many big plays from the Chiefs. Like they're going to be able to control Pacheco. Rashee Rice isn't going to go 8 for 130 like he did against my Dolphins. Kelsey may make a play or two, but that's going to be answered by likely in Lamar Jackson. I think they're going to do just enough to win. It might be a 24-17 game. I got Baltimore winning the game. What say you, Mr. Eric, Fox Sports?
I got the Chiefs 30-24. I think the Chiefs are a team that's led by their defense, which is different, obviously, than in years past. This is the best defense that Mahomes has ever had, that he's playing with. Had a chance to watch them up close against your Dolphins. They fly around the football. I think they'll stop the run and make Lamar beat them with his arm. And I don't think Lamar's capable of doing that. And then for me, the X factor is Mahomes. I just think he's special. And in those situations, when the lights shine brightest, he plays his best. And so for me, I think Mahomes is going to make the plays in the critical situations. I haven't seen Lamar do that yet. And so I've seen Mahomes do that a lot.
Not Eric. Eric, you of all people have told me you need a quarterback who has some mobility.
Mahomes has mobility.
He does have mobility.
Sure.
Wow. You're not confident what Lamar Jackson is able to do in crunch time?
I'm from Missouri on Lamar. I want to see it. Show me.
Wow.
I mean, he's gonna win his second MVP. He's deserving of that. He's played well during the year, but he's still 2-3 in the postseason, and he hasn't been to a Super Bowl. And I think this is his first time playing in an AFC Championship game. So, let's see him do it.
You say 2-3 in the playoffs. Obviously, he just won this last weekend, but he's not the same player he was 4 years ago.
Hey, the quarterback and the head coach are the only people that we throw the record on.
Wow.
Because they have the most control over the game.
You guys hear it here first. Mr. Eric is going, it says Missouri. He's from Missouri on Lamar. You got to show him, huh? It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a great game.
I can't downplay Patrick Mahomes' capabilities at all. What you're saying is not wrong. I can't disagree with you. I can't say I think Lamar has shown the weapons that he has. He's had better weapons on this team than he's ever played with. If Andrews comes back, he has two tight ends that are two capable tight ends. I don't know. Can number 38 can he guard Flowers? Is he going to be able to guard? Is he going to follow Flowers across the field?
It'll be interesting to see if that's what they end up doing. I think they're going to play a mix of coverages. I don't think Flowers is a guy that you need to follow, to be honest. But
well, don't follow him. Don't follow him. He's going to get open. He's going to get open against anybody you put on him.
What if Lamar's on his back?
Yeah. It's going to require Lamar to be special. It will require Lamar to be special. That I grant you. But I think he's playing with the comfort level that they're allowing him to be special, and they have the run game to where he doesn't have to. It's not going to be all on Lamar. They're running back. Now they have Dalvin Cook, Justice Hill, Edwards. Like that running game that they have is effective.
And by just get Mark Andrews back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with Andrews. So that gives them 2 tight ends. Like their offense is. They're not going to. You said what? You said 30, 24 to 30.
Yes.
Like they were able to score 35 points on the Texans because they got a couple picks and they capitalize on that. And that offense needs the turnovers to capitalize on for them to go over 30 points. That I will agree with you on. If there's no turnovers, they'll be right there in that 24 to 27 range. That I agree with you. But the defense is showing that they're able to create some turnovers. And then their offense is just a steady offense. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. To disagree with you. I got 20.
Rams took the Ravens to overtime.
In week 7, Eric? What week was that?
I think the Rams got 30 on them.
Was that 2 months ago, Eric?
Hey, I'm just saying, man. Like, you know,
I mean,
who's better, the Rams or the Chiefs?
Wow. I mean, a good point. You make good points. And so let's hear what you got on the Lions in San Francisco. Are you going to be at that game?
Yeah, I'm going to be at the game on Sunday. Looking forward to watching it. Like I said, I feel like the Lions have a puncher's chance, and because of the way they're set up and the way they play. But I think the Niners are showing up. I can't see them losing this one. I got them 27-20.
Okay, that's fair. I got the Niners winning this game. I'm excited for Brock Purdy. Kind of put the naysayers to rest. I was happy that he came back in the fourth quarter, even though it was an ugly game for the most part. He came back and got the win in the fourth quarter. It was great when he needed to be great, and so I got them doing about the same thing, same similar type of game where they pull it out in the end. That's a little tougher to score. You said 27-20. I'll go 28-21. I'll go 28-21 in that game. I think they'll just get one more touchdown. Is Debo? What's the chances? What's the chances Debo doesn't play? I'll put it like that.
I think they'll probably roll Debo out there, but I don't think he's going to be able to do a whole lot. So if he does play, it'll probably be more decoy than actual contributor.
What is it? It's his shoulder. It's not a dislocation, was it? It's not a
rotation. He had a hairline fracture earlier this season with the same shoulder, his left shoulder, and then I believe he re-injured it against the Packers. Nothing's broken, but it sounds like it's still, there's a lot of pain involved, and his range of motion's affected.
Okay. Well, let's announce before we let you go, sir. Thank you again. Thank you for your time, Mr. Eric.
Sure.
Let's announce. Well, there was announced. Harbaugh finally agrees to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. Now you're going to stick around in LA for that press conference. I imagine it will be a couple of days, Thursday, Friday, maybe.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be next week.
Okay. Even give you more time.
Yeah, give more time. Yeah, hopefully I can make it up there. It's a great get for the Chargers. I think it elevates their franchise and the eyeballs that will be, keeping an eye on them. I think he's the guy that can get them to the point where they have sustainable success and are able to compete for championships because he's done it both at the college and pro level. A very strong, dominant personality. So I'm interested to see how that mixes with the Spanos family and how they kind of, come together in terms of the partnership there. But, Harbaugh can coach. And I think it shows that the Chargers are now committed, to chasing rings, chasing titles, and that hasn't always been the case, when you cover that franchise. And so interested to see what he's going to do with Herbert and the offense, and who he's going to bring in defensively to coach that defense, which underperformed last year.
A couple things. I thought in Los Angeles, where the Chargers don't are often the visiting team in their home during the home games. I thought bringing Pete Carroll back would convert those SC fans into Chargers fans instantly overnight, and that way there would be no more home field advantage if they brought Pete Carroll back and signed him as head coach.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't think Pete's
You
going to
disagree with that?
butts in seats. I mean, it's not about the person on the sideline. It's about the W's on the scoreboard. If you're able to win not just one championship, multiple championships, that's the only way you're going to change a large portion of that, the sports fan base in Los Angeles, and get people on board. Look at the Rams. The Rams won a Super Bowl, and they still are, have people taking over their stadium. So it hasn't worked with them, and they won a Super Bowl. So what makes you think that Pete's going to convert 20,000 SC fans and they're all going to become Charger fans? I don't see that.
You don't believe it. The reason I say that is being in Southern California as I was, the amount of Seahawks hats, jerseys, uniforms that I saw roaming around the streets of Los Angeles. I'm wondering, I knew all these people weren't from Seattle, and I frequently asked them, what are you doing with the Seahawks gear? Are you a Seahawks fan? Oh no, Pete Carroll. Once Pete Carroll once he left SC and went up there, I became a Seahawks fan. And so that's all those USC fans waiting for Pete Carroll to come back. I thought that would address that issue right off the bat. Now, that was one theory I had. The other theory I have is I believe Harbaugh's a better coach. I believe Harbaugh will probably be a better coach for this version of the Chargers. However, I do have one concern. Harbaugh, this star burns bright hot. Like he may be a great coach for a 4 to 5, maybe 6 year period, and then it's gonna kind of burn down quickly. That's my expectation. Do you see that? Do you expect that? And if they get a Super Bowl out of that, I mean that's well worth it. Sure. But I just think it's gonna be kind of the peak is gonna skyrocket right up real quickly, and it might come down it might come down just as fast. Do you see that? Do you agree with my perception?
Yeah, Harbaugh has an abrasive personality if you've been around him at all, and it has its limitations in terms of how much you can deal with that. And if you get a championship, in the next, I think it's a 5-year deal, and you're able to win one, then it's worth it. But I don't see him coaching there for the next 10 years. I think you're right. I think there's statute limitations in terms of how long you can deal with somebody like that. But he was with Michigan for 9 years.
Well, yeah, and they wanted to bring him back, so they were trying to do everything they can. I mean, they had a blank check waiting on them. Yeah,
maybe old age just changed it.
We'll see. Maybe the new control is changing. Yeah. New coaching changes in the AFC. Antonio Pierce now named the head coach is quality coach. Do you now Telesco, oddly enough, goes over there to be the GM for those guys? Do we see a rebirth of the Raiders with that hire?
We'll see. I mean, now that he's the guy, they've removed the interim title. I think that kind of changes how he does things a little bit and perception from players. So we'll see what kind of offseason he has. I think the hiring of Telesco was a smart move by the Raiders because you get somebody that knows that division. That's scouting both draft and free agency to beat people in that division. And so you get some institutional knowledge. I think Telesco is the kind of personality that can adapt to other guys well, and will fit into that culture, what they have there. And I think it'll be an asset. for Pierce in terms of what he's trying to do. One thing Telesco does is he's a pretty good talent evaluator. And if he understands, what the head coach needs on offense and defense, I think he does a pretty good job of going out and finding those kind of players. So yeah, I think the Raiders, they have a chance to be successful, but the division is tough. You have, Sean Payton and Andy Reid and now Harbaugh in that division. And, it's going to be hard to get through there in order to make the playoffs.
Does speaking of Sean Payton, do we see the Broncos? They were Russ was kind of making a resurgence late in the season, and before they just kind of pull the plug on that.
Mm-hmm.
Does Sean Payton get that team back? Get that team back, because they're not in a position to draft a quarterback, or they're not in a high draft position to draft a quarterback. They're gonna have to do some finagling around or bring in a veteran. Do you see them making those guys able to compete in the division, the Broncos?
Defense is still solid. Like you said, they have to find a quarterback. I don't know if it's Stidham or if they're going to sign somebody in free agency or try to draft a guy. But, I think Peyton could coach. I think he's proven that, during his time, when he was with the Saints. So I expect him to be good. I expect them to be disciplined, and I expect them to figure it out on offense. But like I said, everybody else in the division is going to be good too. This isn't the NFC South. I mean, this is different. So there's no gimmies, and I'll be interested to see how he competes with the rest of that division and the rest of the league. But I do believe that Sean can coach.
And then last one before I let you go, Mr. Eric. This drama going down in Cowboys, is this something or nothing? With the Dak brother saying that he wants out, CD's mom saying that she wants Dak what she say, Dak can't get it done, and then Micah's brother blasting the coaching, the play calling, and Dak. Is this something or nothing? All this drama going on in Dallas.
I think it's just the Cowboys. The Cowboys is about drama. That's kind of what the fans live for. And so I just think it gives people stuff to talk about in the offseason. I don't believe it's as big of an issue as maybe people are making it out to seem. That's my take on it.
Okay. Well, I lied, Eric. I got one more for you. Bill Belichick is out there. Does Bill Belichick coach again this year? Coach this season coming up?
Yes.
You have a place? You have a landing spot?
No.
Yeah, I don't think Atlanta doesn't seem like a good fit. But
seems like Vrabel.
Is it in Atlanta?
Yeah.
That's what you're hearing? That would be a good hire.
Yeah. Didn't you go back for a second interview?
Yeah, I think Bill did too, though. But that would be a good. I like Vrabel. I don't know what the heck Tennessee is thinking about. I have no idea what they're thinking.
Seems like Belichick would have already signed it. That's what he's going to do. But maybe he ends up in Atlanta. But I do think he's going to end up somewhere, because I think he wants to coach.
Well, we'll see what happens. Eric, round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Williams, for joining us here. Voice of the Fans, week 276. Eric, let the people know once again where they can find you.
Yeah, again, you can find my work at foxsports.com, and you can hit me up on Twitter at Eric_D_Williams.
Enjoy your travel safe. Enjoy the game this weekend. I got the Niners. Niners. go Niners. Go Brock Purdy. Thank you for tuning in, Eric. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me, Ken.
Yeah. So you guys have heard it there from Mr. Eric Williams. Please get your picks in. Let me know what you think of Eric. Eric says the Lions have a chance to beat the Niners. He also says he's going KC over Baltimore. I disagree with him in that particular game. I have Baltimore meeting San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl here in a couple weeks. So that's going to be very odd. I'm going to have to get Eric back to come back online and talk about that game. Fans, now, as you heard, the Los Angeles Chargers have now signed Harbaugh. They got their man. Can Harbaugh take them to the limit? Are you guys in agreement with me that Harbaugh shines so bright that he's gonna skyrocket, have a big peak, and then the fall is gonna be just as hard because he's just gonna ruffle some feathers, grind some gears, and the people aren't going to be able to stand it for very long. But again, if he wins the Super Bowl, it's going to be all worth it. That's pretty much our NFL talk. Again, I don't have Cleveland with me today, so I just tell you his predictions for this weekend. Cleveland, like Eric, has KC beating Baltimore. Cleveland, because he's hating on Brock Purdy and the 49ers, has Detroit beating the Lions, or Detroit beating the San Francisco 49ers. You guys know, I know that San Francisco is going to win that game at home before a chance to go to the Super Bowl. We know that. I got Baltimore at home beating KC for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So Cleveland's going to be wrong in both of the games that he's predicted. He's even in the picks against the spread. He's even taking Detroit plus the 7 and KC plus the 3.5. Cleveland, sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy. That's not happening. That's not happening at all. So that's pretty much our NFL talk. I'm gonna jump right into our NBA talk this week, and I'm supposed to have another guest here. Let's see if he jumps on. What's up, Red? Jump online, man. I'm email you so you can jump online. Ravens over the Chiefs, absolutely. 49ers over 49ers. You got Lions over 49ers too? No. Come on, man. I'm gonna email you, man, so you can come in and talk about that. Explain to the people how you got the Lions over the 49ers, man. There, just sent you the email, man. Click on the link. How do you got the Lions over the 49ers? What? Oh, you still working? How do you got the Lions over the Niners? What's the logic? What's the logic there? Hey, talk to the people. Let them know the logic there. I don't believe that's gonna happen. I don't believe that's gonna happen. Let's jump into some NBA, and I'll wait for your response, man. The Bucks fire Adrian Griffin as HC of the Milwaukee Bucks. They have a 30-13 record. The only time this has been done is similar to when Blatt was fired from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then they brought the coach off the bench. They brought Ty Lue, who was on the bench at the time. But now they bring in a head coach. Granted, Doc is familiar with the NBA. He's familiar with coaching talent. Giannis is not KD of those 2008 Boston Celtics. So he is not KD, or excuse me, not KG. He is not Kevin Garnett. However, there are similar talents there, a similar skill set for Doc to play with. And plus, he has a point guard in Damian Lillard. But their issue is defense. He can't get Damian Lillard to play more defense. I don't think that's gonna happen. Can they pick up somebody off the scrap heap, off the waiver wire from the G League who can play be a defensive hound in the point guard position? Because that's what they're gonna need. They're gonna need somebody from the point guard to guard the other team's point guard, which Damian Lillard doesn't do. They're going to need. They have the big men. If they can get the more hustle and heart out of the big men, maybe that serves a purpose. So this isn't a shoe-in, but can Doc get these guys? They're not going to lose momentum. And with a 30-13 record, they're second in the East. They have 7-3 of their last 10 games. Like, there had to be some other stuff in the background for them to get rid of Griffin, because when to be number 2 in the East and have this record that you're having, to fire your coach, man, there has to be other stuff going on. So that's interesting that it happened like this. The Nuggets last week, they broke the Celtics undefeated home record. Again, the Nuggets are stepping up when they play top talent. They show that they're still the defending champions, and that they're going to be somebody to contend with when it happens. So the Nuggets aren't playing for the number 1 record in the NBA. They're just playing until they get to the playoffs, until they get to April and May. I think that's when we're going to see the best out of the Nuggets. We saw the Thunder beat the Timberwolves this week to take over the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Again, the Thunder are a team probably who are playing above. I don't want to say playing above their skis, but they're playing more so for a number one record, where the Nuggets are not playing for another number one record. The Thunder, they're going to have to play, and then they're going to have a heartbreaking loss, because in the NBA, you need to have a heartbreaking loss before you advance. So the Thunder are playing well. They beat the Timberwolves. In that game, Karl Anthony Towns scored 60 points in a loss. To me, guys, that was evidence that Karl Anthony Towns has no impact on winning. You score 60 points and your team loses, you're a stat monger. In my opinion, he has no impact on winning games. That's why I don't have the confidence that a lot of people have in the pairing or the duo of Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. They're able to play together because Karl Anthony Towns at 6'11" likes to stand outside and shoot 3-pointers. In my offense, that does me no good. I don't need my big man standing outside and shooting 3-pointers. And he's allowed to do that because with Rudy Gobert, Rudy can man the middle. Rudy can get his lobs down low. Rudy can get the tip ins, get the lobs. Rudy you can't go to him on offense, but he can play that good role on defense. But Karl Anthony Towns was scoring 60 points in a loss. That just shows me that you have no impact on winning. That's what that tells me. I'm interested to hear do you guys notice the same thing? Do you notice the same thing? And if so, hit me up in the chat. Hit me up in the chat or hit me up on Twitter at _voice of the fans, at _voice of the fans. I like to know how your feedback on this situation. Embiid dominating the Joker in Philly. This was going back to last week. He had 30 and 10 for 16 straight games. And then he come back and scored 70 points against Wemby. Again, 70 points and 70 points. I think he hit 1 3-pointer in that game. So he was going to the line, killing them at the line. And it was Wemby, who's, he probably has 100 pounds on him, Wemby, right about now. Yet Wemby's, he's doing 70 points and 70 points. So 70 points and 70 points. And I told you guys weeks ago, what I really liked about what I heard early in the season, what I heard from Joel Embiid is he says the legends have 2 MVPs. The legends of the game has 2 MVPs, most valuable players. So he's playing for another one. That told me right there that he wants to be better. He wants to be a legend in this game. So and he's healthy. He's relatively healthy. He's playing much of these games. So that told me that Joel Embiid was looking to dominate. We know he hasn't won. We know he hasn't been deep in the playoffs. However, with Tobias Harris playing better than he's played in his career, with Maxey playing as good as he's played in his career, they got Nick Batum to do some of the dirty work for him. They still got Marcus Morris over there. They have the squad. They have the talent on the Philadelphia 76ers to move forward, go deep in the playoffs, have a deep playoff run. And with Joel Embiid leading the way, like who in the Eastern Conference can really stop Joel Embiid? The Celtics are going to have obviously something to say about that. But the Giannis and the Bucks, if Giannis and the Bucks are right by playoff time, they'll have something to say about what the 76ers are doing. But you can't discount what the league's MVP is doing. And if he's playing this hot now and continue this run onto a second league MVP, I mean, he's proven that he can work. So you guys got to tell me, you can't say this is a facade by Joel, because dominant putting up 70 points against it was the Spurs. The team is third in the East. They're 6-4 in the last 10 games, 66 winning percentage. This is playing good basketball. Heat fans, what do you guys think about the Terry Rozier trade? Obviously, this is an upgrade from Kyle Lowry. You're giving up a 2027 first round pick. I like the pick. I think they lost today. I think they lost tonight in his debut. But I think this is a big pickup. I think this is a big pickup for the Heat. They get a scoring point guard, somebody to help Jimmy out, somebody who can attack the rim, and that also will allow, as he's attacking, he's able to kick out to Hero and allow him to get some open buckets as well as kick out to as well as he's able to kick out to Duncan. So I think that's a good pickup. I think that's a good pickup for I think that's a good pickup for the Heat. Laker fans, are you guys concerned yet? Are you guys concerned yet, Laker fans? Here we are, essentially the end of January. Your team is number 10 in the Western Conference. You're 5-5. You're 5-5 for your last 10 games. Not only are you 5-5 for the last 10 games, you're essentially below 500 for the season. Are you going to turn this around? Are you going to just say LeBron's too old, AD can't get it done? Are you going to blame Rob for not bringing all the pieces? Because at the when Rob made the moves this offseason, went and stole the bench players from the Miami Heat. When he went and got those guys, we heard Austin Reeves was going to be an all-star this season. That hasn't happened. I mean, what's going to be the excuse now? That's what I'm interested to hear, the excuses from the Laker fans. What's the excuse now? Because if it wasn't, you guys were excited coming into the season. You got LeBron. Has Father Time caught up to LeBron now? I don't know. You guys tell me. I've heard a lot of excuses from Laker fans. What's the deal with you guys? What's the deal? Talk to me. Get up in the chat. You guys will have a lot to say any other night. Get up in the chat. Hit us up. Voice of the Fans at _ Voice of the Fans on Twitter, Twitter X. Let us know what's wrong. Get in the chat. Let us know what's wrong. Come on the screen. Let us know what's wrong. Show your face, Laker fans. Show your face. Because you guys have a whole lot to say when the ship is going good in crypto, but now you guys get a few losses under your belt. You guys don't want to talk. Nobody, or you guys want to play the deflect game and start talking about the Golden State Warriors, how they're not doing anything. You want to talk about the Phoenix Suns, how they're struggling, but you guys don't want to address what's going on in LA with the Los Angeles Lakers at the crypto arena. I need answers, fans. I need answers. Talk to me. Because one person or one team that's giving us answers, one team who's showing us who they are, and even though it is essentially late January, the other team they call Crypto Arena home, those Los Angeles Clippers are 8-2 on their last 10 games. They're a game and a half out of first place in the Western Conference. That trade that happened midway through November, James Harden coming to the Clippers, it didn't win them that bogus in-season tournament. It didn't win them that. Yeah, here we go. It didn't win them. I'm talking about. You got any answers? Let's you explain this to the fans right now. What's up? We got my man, Mr. MJ Love, and Mr. Clint Lomax. Talk to us, man. Can you explain to me?
What's up, man? Yes.
Can you explain? Things coming on for short in such short notice. Can you explain to me why your Lakers are 5-5? Can you explain to us why your Lakers are 5-5
in the last 10?
Yeah,
in the last 10.
Yeah, and why they're under 500 for the season? Why they're number 10? Why they're 10th in the West right now? Did Father Time catch up with your boy?
Well, it's not even. Father Time is always nipping at everybody's heels for real, right? But I would say a lot of what we always like to have happen and I've been talking to people on the Facebook and the X chats like for the last couple of weeks. Everybody wants to build. Everybody wants to draft the young cats and groom them all the way through, to their second contract, and bumps and bruises be damned, and they'll grow, and somewhere in the 6th or 7th season it'll pay off for them. It doesn't work for everybody, and I'll tell you, there's 2 or 3 franchises that don't do that. One of which is the Lakers. The Lakers have never been a team that will nurture young talent for long periods of time if they do not produce. You can go down the list. We don't do it. We just don't. So with that said, it puts a lot of pressure on the young cats like Austin Reeves and Austin
Reeves on a chopping block. Is that what you're coming? Is that your slow way of saying Austin Reeves is on a block right now?
I don't have any official word on that. I'm just saying the words in the street is saying that they will get rid of Austin if they get the right deal, and it's going to have to be a big one. It's not going to be anything like last season where it was like, we got Jared Vanderbilt and a few other cats. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be a big one with 3 teams involved if we're going to get rid of him. I don't think they are. I think they're still looking at D'Lo. I really do. I think they're trying to get Murray, or they're trying to get Finney Smith from Dallas.
Finney Smith in Brooklyn, right?
He's in Brooklyn now. Oh, the other guy they just traded. He played for the Nuggets last year. Bruce.
I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, they're trying to get him. They're trying to get him too, but I don't think they're going to get him because they're asking too much for him.
He's not a shooter. That's not going to help them.
We don't need a shooter. We need for the people getting beat off of defense. No. We're getting beat off the dribble, but for D'Lo and AR, AR in the last, if you're looking at the last 10 games, everyone, especially late in games, are targeting him. They are going screen switches, and that's where you have like Vanderbilt and Prince and Cam over helping because AR is getting beat. Like he's not getting the charge calls anymore. They're going at his weaknesses, which is his lateral quickness, and that's what's happening to our guards. Now, our guards, just like anything else, you would think they, wide open shooters, they would be able to make a lot more of their shots, but we're not the Suns. We're not even Dallas, right? We're really shaky when it comes. LeBron James is leading in 3-point percentage before the last 2 games, so something's wrong with that.
That's where I don't think getting rid of Austin Reeves doesn't solve any problems because he's number one. He's if you're going to get rid of D'Lo, he then becomes your next best ball handler. Although he's not a shot creator, he can create a
AR.
Shot. Yeah, he can create a shot and get some buckets up. I think getting rid of him would be the bad move. If you got D'Lo and Hachimura, although I think that would be a bad look to get rid of Hachimura and D'Lo.
You got to keep Rui. Rui's been hurt, so that's why he hasn't been playing well.
The best move I've heard would be to go get the other guard that you guys shouldn't have got rid of a couple years ago. Why am I having?
Oh yeah, Dennis. I like Dennis too. The only problem.
Chicago.
You mean Caruso?
And Caruso and your boy. Bring your boy home. And
Drummond.
DeMar.
Oh, DeRozan. Yeah. No, DeRozan. His salary is too much. They don't want to keep him. They don't want to take on more salary. The Lakers are.
This is his
final year.
Yeah, he's in his contract expired.
It's not. Yeah, but it's not a guarantee we're going to retain him, though. I know he wants to be in LA, but it doesn't mean that we're going to be able to offer him anything that will make him stay.
Once he's your player, then you can offer him. You can go over the salary.
Well, no, if his contract expires, we can offer him whatever we want, but we probably won't offer him what he's worth. We won't.
That's your fault.
It's the salary cap's fault too. They don't like to go into the luxury tax. They're not Golden State that's going to be hitting $500 million, retaining all 3 of their dynasty players. They're going to be at $500 million over the cap in luxury tax.
But they're printing money with the Chase Center.
That's what I'm saying.
Why ain't the Lakers doing it? They're the franchise of
It's not the same.
Pro chance.
It's not the
They're
same.
gonna have the home all to themselves now. They can
The
bring
Bus family, does not own the whole. They don't own. There is a what I forgot what the stake is. It was 40%. They sold 40% of everything years ago.
They still have 51%. They're
No. It's less than. Well, they're above. They're above 51%, but still, they still have to answer to the chairs, right? So you can't just be willy nilly with all that stuff. I'll say this. The main thing that needs to happen, and I thought of this before, like I thought Drummond it'd be good to bring Drummond back, but I remember watching some of the games from when Drummond was here, and he could rebound like one of the best that ever played. The problem with him is that when he gets sucked out onto the perimeter, he can't guard anybody, and it's hard for him to get back and play, consistent defense that you need in the playoffs. It's just that was the whole problem with him playing with AD, and even without AD, he could get rebounds, but he couldn't. His defense wasn't good enough. It just wasn't.
Okay, enough about those losers. Those losers. Let's talk about the winning team. The winning team in LA. Well, what's your thoughts on that winning squad in LA? Well, are you impressed with James Harden on the Clippers?
Well, I always knew James Harden was one of the best point guards in the league. Like even when he was with OKC and they had to share the ball with Westbrook and KD and all the rest of those cats, man, he was the one that was unselfish, pass first, right? And I mean, we didn't even know he could be what he was until he went to Houston. Nobody knew. We knew he was good.
I knew that was a terrible trade. I knew that was a terrible trade for $5 million.
They had to do it though. They had to do it.
No, they could have gave him. They offered him 54. He wanted the max at 60. They could have gave him 60.
No. But it's not just about him though. They had to do that. They didn't want to do that because they were trying to keep Serge Ibaka, who was basically a part of. And at that point in time, mobile bigs is what everybody wanted. So they had to sacrifice James Harden.
Well, I knew that as soon as I was sick that they traded him, and then he went into Houston, and he started lighting.
He went crazy.
The MVP year. But I have to say that I'm impressed. I knew James Harden was good. I knew the Clippers needed the ball. I've been saying for years the Clippers needed a point guard who can get easy buckets for Kawhi and Paul George. Yep. I knew that. And that's essentially what he's done.
Exactly. That's 100%. That's what he's done. You know what? It's even better than that, though. It's better than that because he's a willing defender now too. Like he literally is, right? He's literally trying to be in the right spots now. With Kawhi off the floor, with PG off the floor, he's trying to be in the right spots. He's still making good swipe moves, which he was kind of underrated on that part just because his offense is so good. And he doesn't turn the ball over that much. But with that said, it's when you have weapons like PG and Kawhi, and then you also have Powell, who was a starter, and then you have guys coming off the bench, that are actually just flourishing. I mean, I looked at their bench and I'm like, okay, they could probably start their bench and still win a lot of games. But as far as like from December, what were they? They were 10 and they were 8-2 in December, and now they're 10-2 this month. So they're putting it together, and they got a good coach that knows how to call timeouts when they're supposed to call timeout. They also run their right stuff, and you can see in the end. Well, that's the thing. In the fourth quarter, and they did it against Brooklyn the other night when Brooklyn was about to upset them, and I put some posts up on Facebook to troll some people. I didn't think they were going to come back, but it didn't surprise me. But when you look at they went on a 22-0 run. Ty Lue called a timeout, put the death squad in. That's what they call it now in Clipperland, is their death squad. And they went on a 22-0 run with a bench player and 4 starters. So I mean, you can't ask for more than that. The only thing that we can say, and like you do a lot and I do it too, just to troll people, is that they haven't won anything yet. Looks nice in the wrapper. You remember Dallas went to the finals in 2006 and got gentlemen swept by Miami Heat, came back as the number 1 seed, and they lost in the first round to the Golden State Warriors. What was their motto that year? It wasn't strength in numbers, it was something else. But that was with Steven Jackson and
they weren't the contenders that the Clippers are right now. We're playing with
no
Hall of Famers.
They were number 1 seed though. Yeah, well, they got 4 future Hall of Famers playing on that team. And here, let me run down the list for you real quick. You got a little bit of time. So 4 future Hall of Famers. You got 2 of them are league MVPs. One of them finished second in league MVP with one of the future Hall of Famers in OKC. Then you have one that's a defensive player of the year. You also have another player that has made multiple defensive players of the year on that team. Then you got a guy that has a scoring title. And also there's another guy that averaged a triple-double for an entire season on that. And he instead of taking his full $40 million a year, he is taking the mid-level exception, which is around 7 or 8 million, just because he wanted to stay with a team that's not going to put too much pressure on him when the lights get hot. Did I get everything? Did I catch it all? I think I missed a few things.
The fans heard that shot. Those shots.
I think I missed it. I think I missed a few things.
The fans heard the shots that you're taking. Hey,
I'm just saying, dog. I mean, you know what?
If the guy wants to go to work, if he wants to go to work where he can be comfortable, and he can be in a comfortable surrounding and a comfortable setting. Don't be too hard on that guy. Don't be too hard on that guy who says,
I'm just saying.
You know what? I'd rather stay 15 minutes. I don't want to commute an hour and a half to work. I want to commute like 15, 20 minutes to work. So I'll stay right here in my same penthouse in Redondo Beach. That's 20 minutes in and out. I don't want to have to do that helicopter ride from Corona Del Mar to get to LA every day.
I'm just saying. I mean, does that sound like the Mamba mentality to you, though?
Yes, if you want to stay in a place where you're appreciated and you can give all you want, if you want to
wait, hold on. That's not entirely what the Mamba mentality is about. Because I actually read the book the other day, and I'm actually going to read it again.
We're not talking about the Mamba. We're not talking about
we're
talking about an LA kid who wants to stay where he's appreciated.
No, I'm just saying. So I mean, here's what we're looking at. I'll wrap this up and I'll stop taking shots.
He still want to go to Hollywood every other night when he has opportunity. He don't want to be in Washington. He did being in Chocolate City. He saw what that Chocolate City is like. He saw what being in H-Town is like. He don't want to go there. Okay, he want to stay at home.
You have 4 California kids on the same team in LA. None of them are with the Lakers. Last 5 seasons, none of them have a championship either. So here's what the lineup should have been. Here, I'll give you what the lineup should have been. And think about this. Think about this real quick.
Question. Which one of those Lakers are going to be in a brand new arena next season? Open up the state-of-the-art arena.
What does that mean?
What do you mean? What
does that mean?
Have a brand new state-of-the-art home that nobody else in the NBA has.
So then what was that? Turn them into the? Does that turn them into the Warriors or something? I don't think so. They still ain't won anything. I mean, the stadium looks dope though. The stadium is bananas.
You don't win until you win. You haven't done it until you do it. We got to play this season out, and we got to see what they do. We got to see what they do, man. You can't be just taking.
You remember? So before the NBA shut down for the pandemic in 2020, we were number 1 seed throughout the playoffs. We were the number 1 seed on both sides, West and Eastern. Then they shut the season down. You know what you guys were saying the whole time? The whole time we were in the first place. What were you saying? You remember? Because you were saying a little bit of it too.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. That's the season's early. Wait till we get to the playoffs.
Well, so why are you asking me about what I think about the Clippers now? All right. Yeah, I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions.
You see how these Lakers do? You see how these
I'm just
Lakers
asking questions.
They sound like
Can I
Donald
not
Trump,
ask questions?
like deflecting, deflecting all the questions
I'm not
around.
deflecting anything. I already told you what we need to do is that we need a couple of tweaks to happen. We are a playoff team. The problem is we it's like you said, the regular season is a grind. It's always been a grind. It's always been 82 games. Hundreds, maybe thousands of players have gone through it to get to the playoffs. It has to happen. Now the problem with that is that if you don't have the cohesion with not just the players but also the coaches, it makes it harder, right? It's just it's I'll be the first to admit that I thought we had some depth at each position to the point where even if Darvin Ham put in different lineups that didn't mesh right away, that we could compensate, by our low post pick and roll or combinations of pick and roll with the right people in the game and different things like that. The problem is with that is that when teams go on runs, it's always been a game of runs, right? Can you shorten the runs? We've had the most runs on us before a timeout than any other team in the NBA this year. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I just found that out a couple of days ago. Instead of how Popovich would be, you make 2 or 3 shots in a row, timeout.
We stopped.
Ty Lue just did it the other night. Timeout. We go 8-2, 11-2, 14-4 runs before he decides that he wants to call a timeout. And by that time, the game might be out of reach. The momentum's gone. It's you have to be better than that. You can't save all your timeouts for the end of the game just because you got older players. You have to trust your younger players. At one point or another, find your best lineups, put your young players in, trust them that they're going to do the right thing.
Darvin Ham getting all the strays, you guys. You guys are here.
It's tough, man. I mean, that's a head coach. Well, I mean, strays. You want to talk about strays? Look what happened to Griffin.
Well, that's what
look what happened to Griffin.
That's what I was going to bring up.
You talk about strays.
Do you think Doc bringing in Doc it changes much in Milwaukee? Do you think? What do you think? I know you're not. Look, you ready? You can't wait. They're gonna clearly they're number 2 in the East. They're number 2 in the East. Clearly they're gonna be in the playoffs.
Yep.
Clearly they on talent alone with Griffin or Doc, they should get to the second round.
Right.
Doc them over the second round.
Well, they should make the playoffs.
Ooh.
So let's go back. So we just talked about our beloved Clippers. Doc Rivers, outside of Boston, made the playoffs a number of different times. He's coached a lot of players, superstars and future Hall of Famers. Yeah. What is he known for after Boston? What is he known for?
Getting knocked out early.
Epic collapses. Collapses.
Okay, Clint. So let's hold on to that thought right there. Let's hold on to that right there.
Sure.
You brought up the bubble. When the Clippers were number 3 at worst, going into chasing Lakers down.
I think they were. Was it 3 or 4? Yeah, I think they were 3.
Before the season started. Before the season restarted in Orlando in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know you've heard from different people say, for whatever reason, you can put it on competitive spirit, you can put it on the headspace. For whatever reason, the guys didn't want to be there for
Don't do it. Don't do it to them. I'm telling you, Cam. Don't do that to them. This is bad for them. You bringing this up is really bad for all of those players that were on that team.
Here's what I'm saying though. This situation is different. There's no bubble to contend with, and for those players who maybe not wanted to be in Orlando, they didn't want to be hanging out with Mickey Mouse for 90 days or couldn't stand it. That was. Do you blame the players or the coach for that situation?
Well, who? Because
they had
Yes, he was a coach. Yeah.
No, he was no. Doc Rivers was the head coach. Ty Lue was on the bench. Doc was the head coach.
Oh, was he on the bench? Oh, that yeah. Also, yeah. You're right.
But Doc was the head coach, and the guys, again, we know the stories, but it comes out now that the guys really didn't want to be there.
Right.
And that's where I give LeBron credit. That's why I credit LeBron. I think that was his best job of leadership I've seen in his career, is to keep the guys focused on getting this with guys, however long it takes, 90 days, 100 days. Let's stay focused and play basketball. All we got to do is play basketball. We can play video games, we can play card games, we can go to the pool. Let's stay for 90 days, guys. Let's tune everything out, and let's go get this job done. I credit that. That was fantastic, because while everybody else is frustrated, we can't bring people in, we can't have visitors, or the wives and the children can't come.
There's stories behind that too. They got some behind the scenes stories about that. That wasn't exactly the case. I probably have to talk. I gotta talk to you about this offline. I can't really tell this to the people right now. Yeah, there was some things going on.
I understand there were some visitors, maybe not the amount of visitors that they wanted there, but there were still some visitors that came through. There was there might have been a few more cooks that Disney hired than probably was on the books before the pandemic started. You know what I'm saying? A few more nurses or housekeepers than was on the books when the pandemic started, or when
that's the best way to put it. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
But what I'm saying is, yet and still, LeBron was still able to keep his team focused on playing those games that every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Versus the rest of the league is, we don't want to be here. It's tough. Blah 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 blah. All the excuses that they give. I mean, it shows some. And I understand what you're saying, that mental weakness probably wasn't there. So I credit him. But again, was that the coach, or is that the players not being able to get these guys to zero in on and understand what's at hand? I don't necessarily blame the coach for that. It's kind of what I'm getting at. So that was the latest failure for Doc Rivers, is not getting that was the latest failure, not getting the most out of the Clippers. And I'm saying I don't necessarily blame him for that.
Well, it's a combination of both, right? I mean, of course, the coach is the tip of the spear, right? So if the team doesn't do well, it's on the coach. If the team does do well, he's praised, as being a great coach. And Doc Rivers is a really good coach. He really is. I don't want to throw great in there. I know he's a champion. He went to two finals, but he's a really good coach. What you're looking at, you have to look at the leadership of that team too. So with Kawhi leading by example, who are the leaders on the Clippers at that time?
Kawhi's not a leader. That's been established.
Well, by example, he leads, but he's not verbal.
But by proxy, he's a leader.
Right. Exactly.
But he's not a leader. That's been part of their problem. He's not a leader. Paul George.
Well, that was part of it too, right? He's not a verbal leader. He goes by actions. But then you have your leaders would then be Paul George, who he hasn't accomplished much of anything.
Paul George is
deep into the playoffs. Then you had Lemon Pepper Lou. Lemon Pepper Lou. Hey, and you know this more than I do. That whole team followed Lou Williams wherever he went, because he was the dude that led that team. He was more or less the heart and soul of that team when it came to just getting people together, but also on the court. Like when you needed a bucket or you needed a big play, they would go to Lou. They went to Lou a lot, and people don't realize that.
Lou was he didn't have the same reference, but he was very similar. He was Allen Iverson-esque,
right,
for that generation.
Yeah.
Oddly, Lou did play with Allen Iverson too, but
he did. Yeah.
He was that. You need a bucket, let's go to Lou. Lou's gonna get you a bucket anytime.
Exactly.
Anytime you need a bucket, who can get you a bucket? The 3 6 Man of the Year awards. Who can get you a bucket?
I think it was 2. I don't know, it was 3. Jamal got 3. Yeah,
Okay.
Crawford has 3.
But he had that same reference similar to Allen Iverson. So yes, he guys looked up to him, and then when he's not, if his heart's not in it, the
But that's the thing. Well, there you go. There you go, right there. I mean, you got to give Denver some credit too, and they actually drew up the lineups and the fourth quarter comebacks and the leads that they actually put up, on the Clippers. Those were actually strategic, and they actually went after certain players to make them produce. Paul George was one of them. Like, as long as you can double Kawhi and get back to Paul George and put a hand in his face, is he going to go 8 for 12 from the field, or is he going to go 3 for 17 from the field?
Now, Paul George has gotten over any shooting slump he's been over. Paul George doesn't mind putting the ball up. Paul, whether schematic or not, Paul does not mind. He does not mind getting his shots up, boy.
No, exactly. But
watching him play.
Go back and look at the stats on that, man, and you can see it like throughout, especially going into the third and fourth quarters of those games. He shot terribly. Like and they were shots that you and I would take back, when we were back in high school, just because we were open and we could shoot them. Right? No rebounders, right? And no, what I mean? I'm right, man. And that's the thing. That's he didn't. Yeah, one on 3. Those, and that's what killed him. That's what killed him, dog. I mean, I went back and looked at a few of those guys. I watched Game 5 just to find out. I wanted to find out what had happened and where the turning points were. And
the
Clippers were sleepwalking. They were sleepwalking.
It was more mental. It was more mental.
Yeah.
Their demise was more mental. Yes, you give Nuggets credit for actually winning the games. Yes,
that is more, honestly, like, the coach can do so much. Once you get your death lineup out there and the death lineup doesn't kill, that's on the players at that point, right? I mean, and I know Kawhi doesn't. Kawhi's always trying to win. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. The problem is that I'm trying not to throw shots, but I have to. So Kawhi would not go to the Clippers unless they went out and got Paul George and got rid of SGA and gave up all those draft picks for Paul George.
He went up.
Got in.
That's because Paul was ready now. But I mean, the Clippers.
Right.
I mean, looking at it now, do you do that? Do you make that move again? Or do you say Kawhi?
Well, hindsight, you don't get rid of SGA. Maybe you get rid of the draft picks because they gave him like 3 or 4 of them.
Right.
Like, you keep SGA, give him the draft picks, keep Paul George, keep SGA, and you might be talking about something different. They were loaded back then too. They were loaded. They're not as loaded as now, but back then they were loaded too.
Well, they gave up a lot of their. Another thing that worked out for them by sending as many players as they did to Philadelphia for James Harden is they got rid of kind of the logjam that they had at the forward position, the 3 and the 4 position.
Right. And they had to. Yeah, there's too many.
I mean, but that benefited them. That benefited them.
Oh, yeah.
Now they have less players. They have players that are actually able to play. The only guys over there is pouting is my man Tucker, because he can't get on the floor. But,
no, he can't.
But
he will. He will in the playoffs. I guarantee it. The playoffs he'll get on.
I think they'll trade him before then. I think they'll trade him.
Well, he has no value, right? I mean, he's affordable too. So
who could use him is Milwaukee. Could use him.
He's not going back to Milwaukee. No,
that's who
they could use him, but he's not. Yeah, he's not going back there because you know why? Well, it might change now that Doc Rivers is in there because Doc Rivers is a defensive coach too, and their whole thing was Griffin is a defensive coach, but they're number 15 in the league in defense. But you know why that is, right? And I love him. He's my dude. I have him. I have one of his songs from Hulu as one of my alarms in the morning. But Dame Lillard, he is not a defensive maniac. Not even close. Yeah, not even close. Yeah. That's a problem. That's a problem.
I was saying that earlier. Doc is as good as a coach that he is, a defensive coach that he is, he can probably get a little bit more out of Giannis, and if he shows him some Kevin Garnett,
Even Giannis has been his defensive rating has gone down too. He's not playing the same defense he was at the beginning of the season, and
but
for whatever reason, we don't know.
Is Giannis, and so is Giannis a follower where he sees Damian Lillard just getting shots up in practice? He wants to get shots up in practice, and he stops focusing on the defensive side of the ball as being aggressive as he was when he started the league. He's like, hey.
Well, that's a great question. I would even compare that to the first year of Dwayne Wade and LeBron together, whereas they were saying it's your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, that type of thing, right? Where Wade was kind of, trying to share, and LeBron wasn't sure that, he was trying to share because it was Wade's team. And then you get to the finals after getting through Boston, and, LeBron disappears the last 3 games of the series because he's not sure when he's supposed to take it, or he doesn't know if he should do this or do that. Dwayne Wade started to take over, but it was too late. We didn't get the flash from 2006, and that was the communication between that. So that's what you're looking at right now.
Or the refs weren't blowing the whistles like they were in 2006.
Why you gotta go there? Why you gotta besmirch D Wade's name like that? Yeah, they were blowing some ridiculous whistles back then too. I ain't even gonna lie about that. I was happy about it, to be honest with you, because I wanted Shaq to get another ring before Kobe.
He was putting pressure on. He was putting pressure on that squad to make him blow the whistle too.
Yeah, exactly.
But nonetheless, we'll see how that happens. But yes, and we got to talking about the Bucks again because I believe that I believe Tucker's going to get traded. I believe that would be a good fit for him. They could certainly use him. I mean, sitting in Toronto was.
I don't think it's going to happen though. I honestly, you know why? You know why I don't think it's going to happen? It's kind of the Udonis Haslem older player on the team syndrome, because all those guys love Tucker. All of them. All of them love.
He's not doing anything for LA though.
He didn't know, but he's helping on the back end of things, and they know they can use him in the playoffs. They know that.
He's good in the locker room. I was just there. I was just in the locker room when they played Memphis.
Nice.
Excuse me, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I expected him before I got into the locker room, pre and post game. I expected him to be in the corner, not talking to anybody, because my understanding or my intel is that he's frustrated with his role on the team.
But however, that's him. That's who Tucker is, right? He wants to play. He wants to make. He wants to contribute, right?
Yeah. But he's not. He doesn't have a role, and so I expected. That's what I'm saying. I expected him to kind of be in the corner, not really associating with anybody. Nonetheless, he had jokes for everybody in the room. You know what I'm saying? He had jokes. He's a good locker room dude.
Hey man, hold on. When you're winning, steaks taste better. The wine tastes better. As
you mentioned, you also contribute. You also want to be a contributing factor in those wins too.
But he will be though. That's the whole thing. He honestly, he's a competitor, just like all most of the NBA players in the league are a competitor. They want to contribute, but if you push come to shove, if you really sit down and talk to him, because I just saw a clip with him and Andre Iguodala talking about how much he's not playing. Like, right, he's just, dude. I got in the game for like a minute the other game, and but you know what though? That minute that I played my ass off, right? Yeah. And that's who he is.
He's not even getting that garbage time run though.
They'll need him though. They're going to need him in the playoffs because he's going to spell Kawhi. He's also going to spell Paul George.
We'll see. I don't know that he's going to be there. But one thing I didn't mention about the addition of James Harden is James Harden has Ivica Zubac was always solid. He's made Zubac look super solid. He's
why? He's keeping it simple.
He's getting him the ball.
Keeping it simple, right? Zubac doesn't have to do anything. He can set the screen, roll for the lob, sit in the short corner, wait for the drives. If they double James Harden, James is going to dish it. He's going to go in for layups. And then on top of that, he is in the right position when they take threes, like when James Harden takes that step back three. crashing the offensive boards at 7 feet tall when people aren't blocking you out, it's a lot easier to get those offensive rebounds.
Sure.
It's
And
just
but
simple stuff.
that's working for Zubac, Daniel Tice, and Mason Plumlee. That's and those like they have all the pieces, bro. They have all the pieces.
Yeah, Tice was a good pickup too for them. Plumlee's kind of Plumlee's weird because he's still a good athlete for his age, right? At the center position, he's never had the skills, but he can still jump. He's still strong as hell too, right?
He can rebound. He can get you some block shots. He can be a force down low. He's not he's not going to go off for 20. He's not going to get you.
Tice wasn't Tice. Tice was in the NBA Finals not too long ago, right? With Boston.
Yeah. So he's familiar with kind of that team.
They got a good squad.
Give me your thoughts on the Timberwolves. Your boy Karl Anthony Towns went for 60 points in a loss. I mentioned this earlier. Karl Anthony Towns has no impact on winning. He has no impact on winning.
You know why?
I don't know because he's not a winning player.
It's two simple things. It's two simple things. One, I'm not going to say I have any vibe on this. I'm just watching the games and listening to him after and before games. Even though he went to Kentucky, I still don't think he knows what it takes to win. I don't think there's a.
Thank you for saying.
There's an it. There's you can spell that. And honestly, he is a below average athlete for his size in the NBA. Like he really can't guard people consistently for being a superstar, and he does try on defense, but he's limited by his athleticism. Right. The other part of it is, I don't know, like his team will, give him dap and slap him on the back and different things like that. But you remember that when he had that 62-point game, he drove to the hoop. He got fouled. No, let's not. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that. I mean, he went to the hoop to actually try to finish the game, and he got fouled. They didn't call it. Go back and watch what his teammates did after that happened. And then on the ensuing play when they had to foul and all that stuff, just watch the body language. It shows everything. It's like, okay, this dude had 62 and we still lost. There's no way that's supposed to happen. And you can see it on the body language. It's just like when the trolls, I'll say, I won't name names, say when we're losing or we know we're going to lose the game and LeBron James leaves the bench with like a minute left in the game and goes back in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost the equivalent to what his teammates did to him at the end of that game. Go back and watch it.
Yeah,
go back and watch it.
I don't. I'm not a fan of dude. And I love competition.
I know you don't. You made it painfully obvious what your feelings about.
I'm not a fan of dude. However,
he's not terrible though. But I hear what you're saying.
He does not have an impact in winning. How can you score 60 points and your team lose? You don't have an impact. That shows that's
because he's not stopping anybody. He's not stopping anybody. Even if you got in the way, even if he scored 62 points, and let's say he fouled out in the middle of the fourth quarter,
right?
You know what that says? At least he's making an effort.
Exactly.
Right? He's saving himself. He saves himself a lot in games, and it drives me crazy. But I don't say much about it just because I'm like, we got a couple of 206ers that have been on that team. One is still, I think McDaniel's still on the team. So I root for him. I root for them to do okay. But
so speaking of that, what up, big dog? Jump online, Thomas Pavy. Jump online. Let's get on the hoop right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of 206, where would it be if the Atlanta? I was saying when Atlanta traded for, they gave him a lot for DeJounte Murray, and to be less than a year later, or it's probably about a year later, to be considering getting rid of him. Quinn Snyder, what are you doing? Like, I need to go check Quinn out and see where your headspace is, because I truly believe that Murray is a better guard than Trae Young. He's not the scorer that Trae Young is, but he does more things better than Trae Young. Therefore, I would keep Murray over Trae Young. Why is he on the blocks?
You know why? Well, one of the main things is Trae Young's always going to put butts in the seats. That's one of the main things that you'll get from the ownership from Atlanta Hawks. They've always been like that. No, I know, but even back in the Dominique Wilkins days, where they had these big guys and they had a good team, but they couldn't get over the hump, but they wouldn't trade the right people so that they could get the you know why? Because Dominique Wilkins, Willis was his dude. Roundtree, even him, he couldn't even move. He wanted to keep him too. There's a lot of players that he wanted to keep. Ownership and management said, okay, long as they keep coming to watch us play, and now you have Dominique Wilkins and
we got a new regime. We got a new regime now.
No, I get, but it's the same formula though. It's the same formula. You can't get rid of Trae because one of the things is even though Baby Boy can score. We all know he can score. The problem is that
he's
but his defense has dropped way off of when he left the Spurs. And one of the reasons is because he started out with Kawhi, and Kawhi is the one that told him, "Hey, you want to get time, you got to play defense. Get out there and play some defense." Whereas even when somebody's not scoring, guess what? Coach is going to put you in because you're playing defense. Right, and he actually, I think, did he make an all defensive team? Was he second team or I can't remember. He was close or whatever the case may be. But when he got to Atlanta, they needed to score. Right, he was playing defense, but you got who's the other shooter? Not besides Trae, the dude that comes off the bench now. Why am I forgetting his name? No. The European dude.
Yeah.
Why am I forgetting his name? But you know what I'm talking about. But that's what I'm saying. Now, the one dude, Johnson, I like him. Like he's kind of shaky, but he's solid. He's gonna be solid.
He's young.
Exactly. He's young, so he's gonna be good. But you can't. If you get rid of Trae, you may get. It depends on what you're gonna get back and who your playing partner is gonna be with when it comes to the trades. You can get a lot from Trae. Like, and I had to talk to somebody about this the other day. If you think somebody tried to do some stupid trade with Baby Boy and somebody else, but Rudy Gobert got a king's ransom for the Utah Jazz. You think that anyone is going to give you that type of haul for Trae Young, even if they needed a point guard? Probably not.
Trae Young has better trade value than Murray. Yes, I agree with that, and that's only because it's a 3-point. Guys are enamored with a 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
But if you have him in a lock, if you have those two guys on the team, you should be able to see. I don't know what Murray's like as a teammate. That I don't know, but I know on the floor he's doing more for your team and he's assisting more than Trae Young.
He's feisty, right? I mean, he's always going to have fire. He's always got that chip on his shoulder, which is good. His teammates like that. But yeah, like I said, I haven't heard anything about his, him blending with the locker room. No news is good news, I guess. But
yeah. I wouldn't be I'm just baffled as to why they're trying to trade him versus Trae Young. That doesn't. And a year later, like
I know.
We're about a year later.
There has to, I hear what you're saying. There's got to be something underlying there to the point where they may not be playing well together, and they may want to just go back to him and the other guy that they had before in the backcourt, and probably just move up. Their front court is getting older, right? I mean,
they kind of traded. They sent boy to Houston, or excuse me, they sent boy to Utah.
I don't know why they did. Why did they do that? I don't understand. I thought they were gonna.
He wasn't giving them the 20 and 10 that they expected from him.
Yeah, I guess so.
Fair, but he's still a quality player. He has a skill set, and I blame your point guard for not getting him the ball. I blame your point guard for not feeding him the ball in the right opportunities. Like
it's hard to blame him when he's averaging 30 points a game and 10 or 11 assists a game. It's tough, man.
Dog, he was shooting under 50%.
I know.
He was shooting under 50% and under 40% from three. You're a 3-point shooter. You can't be a 3-point shooter shooting under 40% from three.
Well, I mean, when you're the focal point, you're not always going to be over 40%, right? I mean, there's always going to be people on you. It's a little different when you're like Kyrie and Luka and players like that, right?
35%.
Yeah, you can't be under 35 though.
That threshold is like the 36, 37%, right? If you're a volume
37.
You can't be under 35%. He's under 35%. His assists, I mean, damn, if you have the ball every time coming down court, you're gonna get 3 or 4 assists a quarter. So that's 12 assists a game.
I remember saying that about a player a few years ago too, and I was shouted down for my negativity towards that person, but we won't say any names.
Man, as a volume shooter, I'm not impressed. Let me put it like that. I'm not impressed. He would be the first guy I would see call around if I took over the Hawks. And I'm so disappointed in Quinn Snyder. Like, Quinn, you're a better team builder than this. Why are you getting rid of the more team player guy? The guy who's team friendly. That's my question. Yep. That's my initial question. When I go check out the Hawks, that's what I got to figure out.
Right. Exactly. I don't know. I wish I had an answer for it. They're not even close to the playing game like last year. So I don't.
And another reason why he should be out the door is because as a leader of the team, what have you really done? What have you done? Have you done much?
But that's the thing. If they get rid of him, they better bring in somebody box office, because if they don't put butts in the seats, there's going to be more heads rolling for sure.
I mean, but we haven't done anything with you. That's where I'm at. It's not like they went to the Eastern Conference champion by fluke the 1 year, but now they're number 10. They're number 10. So out of your 6 years in the league, you make it to one conference championship. And that's
there was another player that I remember that made it to one conference championship, but I don't know. They don't really give him a whole lot of guff until he got traded. And even now, he just closed out a game the other day or about a week or two ago, and even Mr. Lopez, I don't know if you guys saw that video. Mr. Lopez was upset because he didn't pass him the ball so that he could try to take that shot to win the game. Do you see that?
So there's something, and so more going on.
There's a little bit.
There's more going on than the numbers are telling us, huh?
I would say it's the same. It's the equivalent of that third person, that third superstar in each team. That Kevin Love, that Chris Bosh, that Klay Thompson when KD came to the Warriors, right? It's that.
All right, so let's talk about what Embiid is doing. Let's talk about what Embiid is doing. He puts up 70, although it was against Wemby. He still 70 with 1 3-pointer in the game. I'm very impressive. What I'm in Joel Embiid, what I like about Joel Embiid is that when I heard him say, he said this maybe a month or two ago. The historic players, the best players in the history of the game have more than one MVP. So
that's true.
I'm trying to get my second one. That told me that he's locked in and focused and trying to be a better player. He's not resting on the one MVP and saying he's done. He can pack it in. He wants to, and then he still recognizes that he hasn't got past the second round of the playoffs. So that adds something else. So what do you think about Embiid? What do you think about his 70 points? I'm impressed by Embiid. He's playing like he wants to win MVP again.
Thank you. Have a good night. Hold on. Our game's breaking up. Have a good one, Nick. Embiid is definitely impressive. Like, there's no doubt about it. Right? I joke all the time. I still do it just because it happened and there's nothing we can really change about it. The trust the process. This is what a lot of people are asking for when they actually want growth in the team. When you draft your players and you want to, nurture them until they get to this point. People don't understand. It takes a lot of hard work behind the scenes to even get to a point where you can do it. But the problem that people don't see is that Embiid has the ability to do it, right? There's a total difference on, training people and people wanting to be great. Embiid has the tools to be great, right? And he's showing you what he can do. And then the fact, you know what, people say, oh, he was just playing Wemby and the Spurs, and okay, I get it. They're not a great team. However, it's hard to put 70 up on anybody. It's hard. It's really hard to put 70 up on any team because any given night you can lose. You can lose in the NBA. It doesn't matter. The other part of it is he's also playing defense too. And this is the one thing when he dismantled Joker in their last meeting, he made it look like it was child's play. And we know Joker's not the best defender, but Embiid basically told you, he basically said, no, this guy cannot guard me ever. The last three meetings between those three, Embiid just murdered that dude. It's not even close. I hate saying that, but I watched those games. It wasn't even close. Embiid just went to work on him from start to finish. With that said, he's missed 10 games already this year. So he can't miss. If he misses 8 games, he is out of the MVP running. So if he gets hurt, if he twists an ankle, if he has a thigh bruise, if he has I'm knocking on wood right now, wherever I can knock on wood. If he gets any knick-knack that's going to keep him out for a week and a half, MVP's gone.
Do you like that ruling?
I do and I don't.
So if if he plays 64 games,
he has to play 65 games.
Right. I'm just saying, if he plays 64 games and continues on this pace, do you think they really keep the MVP from him?
Yeah, MVP will be taken from him, and then they will change the rules next year.
Change it back to make it 60.
You know what it is, right? Because even right now, it was the fact like last year. You remember them when they get, you can have one coach's challenge. Even if you won the coach's challenge, you didn't get another one. Right. They were talking about adding that to the playoffs last year, whereas if you won your first coaching challenge, you would get a second one. But the commissioner kiboshed it because it's like he's doing this under president. We don't change rules in the middle of the season. That's what all the rules committees for in the summer and all that stuff. I know it's corny, but they know that something needed to be changed. I'll give him credit. I'll give the commissioner's office credit because they are making changes when they see that people want things to change. I'll give them credit for that. But yeah, as far as that goes, the only thing that's going to stop Embiid is if he doesn't play those 65 games.
So before he hit the 70, he had 30 and 10 for 16 straight games.
Yeah.
Like that's balling.
Yeah.
That's balling.
That's big time balling.
I like that. I like that move for him. What do you think about Terry Rozier going to the Heat for Kyle Lowry and the 27th first round pick? Like, clearly
it gives them another score. Terry can play some defense, not like he could in Boston, but I don't know if that moves the needle, to be honest with you. I don't know where that moves the needle. He just adds more scoring. Like if Tyler Hero goes down or Butler goes down again,
he's better than Lowry any way you look at it.
Of course. But how much better than Lowry, right? His defense. I'll tell the truth. His team defense isn't better than Lowry's. Lowry plays some really good team defense. He's always in the right spot. He's always poking balls. He's always going after rebounds. He just has a knack to go get the ball.
Yeah, because he wasn't playing the game on athleticism.
I know he could get the instruction.
He didn't play the game on athleticism. He had to be
go contact you about that.
Exactly.
So, all right. Thank you for tuning in, man. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for filling in. We appreciate you guys.
All right, man. I'll hit you next week.
Let us know
Keep
where
me posted.
Let the fans know where they can find you.
MJ Lover 23 on everything.
Thank you, big dog. Thank you. Appreciate you.
No problem. All right.
There you go. You got Mr. Clint Lomax to bring you guys some hoop conversation. So we filling in, even though my man Clint or even my man Cleavon is not available this week, we still filling in the best we can, fans. So tune in and let me know what you guys' thoughts on the Kyle Lowry move. Kyle Lowry being traded to the Carolina for Terry Rozier, and how that impacts Miami Heat. I think that was a good move for the Heat because obviously Terry Rozier has more impact on the game than Kyle Lowry right now. So that was good. Just looking at it, the first game, Doc agrees to coaching the Bucks. We got Giannis going for a triple double. What was it? 35, 18, and 10, impressively. Damian Lillard doing his thing, and Giannis looking like the man he's supposed to do. So good job for the Bucks getting off a good foot, and good job for Doc for hyping those guys up. Fans, each and every week we play the numbers game as we did with Eric. One of the fans' favorite segments is This Week in History. So I'm going to recite some things that took place in history, kind of give you guys a history lesson if you're not familiar. Fan, on January 20th, 2001, Colin Luther Powell was sworn in by President George Bush to become the first Black Secretary of State. January 20th, 2009, Barack Obama was sworn in as the 44th president of the United States, and he became the first Black president of the United States. January 25th, 1966, Constance Baker Motley become first African woman federal judge. Baker Motley becomes the first African American woman to become a federal judge. January 25th, 1980, Black Entertainment Television, what we now know as BET, first launch in Washington, D.C. January 23, 1977, ABC airs Roots, the miniseries based on a book by Alice Haley for the first time. So that's everybody got to know Chicken George, got to know them up close and personal, Kuta Kinte and the rest of that story. January 23, 1972, Shirley Chisholm became the first African American presidential nominee. January 24th, 1962, Jackie Robinson was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. January 23rd, 2006, Kobe Bryant scores 81 points against the Raptors. So Joel Embiid he's been the closest, I guess, to eclipsing Kobe Bryant's scoring record at the time. But Kobe Bryant scored 81 points against the Raptors. Fans, those of you tuning in, hit us up in the chat. Where were you when Kobe Bryant went off for 81? Were you watching the game? Did somebody tell you about the game and you tuned in late? Where were you when Kobe Bryant went off for 81 points? I tell you what, I was not watching the game. And I happened to hear 2006. I happened to hear it on the radio. I think on the way home that Kobe Bryant was at 50 points and it was only like in the third quarter. So I think I raced home and I saw the second half. I saw the end of the third quarter, end of the fourth quarter, and he was just giving it to the Toronto Raptors. He was giving it to the Raptors. And the weird thing about that game is they needed all his scoring too. Like he wasn't going off on, and they were way ahead of the game, and he was just seeing how many points he could score. They needed his scoring in that game. After rewatching the game, they were down in the second quarter. His scoring went off. They were down in the second quarter, and then he went off to bring them back into the game. They took the lead in the third quarter, and that was a nip and tuck game. So they needed his 81 points. So 81 points was glorious. He had a couple plays, man, in that game where he drove baseline, or he would bring the ball up court on kind of a fast break, went behind his back, under the rim, reverse dunk. Oh man, that was kind of one of the sweetest in-game dunks that I've seen. He on a fast break, went around his back, under the rim, reverse dunk. It was, I mean, in Kobe-esque fashion. Just Kobe was bad, bro. Kobe was bad. I wasn't a Laker fan, but 81 points, fans. Where were you when you saw Kobe score his 81 points? January 24th, 1982, Pontiac Silverdome, San Francisco beat the Cincinnati Bengals on a game-winning drive by Joe Montana. They hit John Taylor. Everybody thought it was going to Jerry Rice, but they end up hitting John Taylor for the touchdown for the game-winning score. And we might see that again from the San Francisco 49ers here in a couple of weeks. Fans, we're gonna Kate. We had the Caitlin Clark incident this weekend or this week after they lost the game earlier this weekend. The student charged the court. Do you think that incident with Caitlin Clark getting ran over by the fan, that this is going to change or impact the way students are allowed to charge the court after college basketball games? I'm curious about that. It's going to be hard to stop that, but I'm curious about how that changes things, and it's going to be very interesting. Haslam gets his jersey retired by the Miami Heat. My question would have been, is this fair or foul? I'd like to get Cleveland's feedback on this. Haslam playing 20 games for the Heat, or 20 seasons for the Heat. He's become kind of a fan favorite, a local favorite. I understand exactly why they did that. Fans, on another note, I have no tattoos. I have not had a tattoo in my life. The idea of somebody drawing on my skin with the needle and ink just doesn't appease me at all. It does. There's no appeal for that concept whatsoever. It never has been. Again, I've 50-year-old, never had a tattoo in my life. However, I will say, Udonis Haslam has one of the dopest tattoos that I've seen. There's some nice tattoos out there. On his back, he has the state of Florida tattooed on his back. And down in the corner of the state, on the map, you see the state of Florida, and it kind of wraps down. But where he's from, he has a hometown, there's a star around the hometown, and it kind of branches out with his family members. I think that was the dopest tattoo I have personally seen. I've seen a lot of tattoos, on dude. I just happened to see it in the locker room interviewing him one time. He's a super cool dude. Udonis Haslam, go if you want to check out the video, the interview, Voice of the Fans on YouTube. Check it out. Just type in Udonis Haslam with Voice of the Fans. I don't think you'll be able to see the tattoo that he has, but that was one of the dopest tattoos that I personally seen. Udonis Haslam tattooed the state on his back. Tara Vanderveer, she eclipses Mike Krzyzewski with 1,203 basketball games that she's won. The coach from UConn is on her heels. So they're going to go neck and neck see who can play. She's 70 years old. I think the coach of UConn is around about the same time, Gino Auriemma, but he's about 8 or 10 games behind her. So it'll be a nip and tuck, a race to see who to the finish, who can win the most games. But as soon as she retires, he's going to pass her up in a matter of days. We had the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame announcement. Helton, Adrian Beltre, and Jamie Moyer were announced to the in a Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. And my question, my baseball knowledge is limited, but I thought Andrew Jones of the then Atlanta Braves should be a Hall of Famer. I'm kind of questioning, why is he not a Hall of Famer, fans? If you have the answer as to why Andrew Jones is not a Hall of Famer, please let me know at _voice of the fans, at _voice of the fans. Why Andrew Jones is not a Hall of Famer is beyond me. Gary Sheffield in the being in the Hall of Fame. Apparently this was his last run at it, because in Baseball Hall of Fame, you kind of get 5 to 6 years when can be on a ballot before you have to get voted in by the old timers committee. Alex Rodriguez didn't make the ballot. Probably both of those reasons are similar because of their rumors of them being involved with steroids or enhancements, performance enhancing drugs. That's probably why both of them are not in the Hall of Fame or haven't been elected to the Hall of Fame. But I mean, at one point you're gonna have to start letting these guys in. Alex Rodriguez, Barry Bonds becomes available. You're gonna have to let these guys in, regardless of kind of what you think. Another thing, guys, a question for the group here. How much college basketball are you watching, men or women? Are you watching at this point? Or does everybody wait till March Madness to start watching college basketball? And so really nobody has an understanding of who to be voting for, and the picks are really just guesses, educated guesses. That would be my question for the group. How much college basketball are you watching? Again, hit us up at _ voice of the fans on Twitter, at _ voice of the fans on Twitter to be a part of the show. Again, want to thank the guys who joined me today. Want to give a big round of applause to Eric Williams of Fox Sports. Again, Eric D. Williams on Twitter. Hit Eric up. MJ Lover Clint for talking hoop with me. And I give you guys a round of applause for sticking. Give yourselves a round of applause for sticking with the show. Fans, we end each and every show with a quote. Nobody does this, fans. Nobody does this. Nobody plays a number game at the beginning of the show. Nobody gives you this week in history segment like we do here. Nobody ends the show with the quote like we do here. The quote I want to end the show with tonight is, "Action is a real measure of intelligence." That's from Mr. Napoleon Hill. Fans, I repeat that for the guys in the back. Action is a real measure of intelligence. That's from Mr. Napoleon Hill. Fans, if there's a dream or something that you want to accomplish, you can do all the planning you want to do in the world. You can do all the discussions about what you want to do and all the thinking and machinations. But if you're not taking action, you're not really doing anything. Take action. Follow your dreams. Pursue your dreams. Those are your dreams. Nobody's holding you back from achieving your dreams but you. So take action on what you want to do. Take action on what you want to get done. Again, from Mr. Napoleon Hill, action is a real measure of intelligence. Fan, again, I want to thank you guys for being a part of the show. Give yourself a round of applause for being a part of the show, hanging with us this long. Check us out at voiceofthefans.org. There's a new website you can go and kind of check out our work. You can check out some of the videos that I've conducted over the amount of time. You can access the podcast from voiceofthefans.org, or you can check us out on Voice of the Fans on HMB Media YouTube page, Voice of the Fans YouTube page, or you can see the articles that we're writing on voiceofthefans.org as well, on the communities tab or the articles tab. And give us your feedback. Let us know what you think. You can reach out to subscribe to our monthly mailer. Check us out, voiceofthefans.org, voiceofthefans.org, to follow what we're doing, the content that we're putting out there. Again, I want to thank you guys for being a part of the show. Enjoy your night. And as always, thank you for making our voice your choice.